Hello, everyone, and welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin, and today I'll be discussing The Strange Love of Martha Ivers from 1946, starring Barbara Stanwyck, Lizabeth Scott, and Kirk Douglas. And so, with that, let's get into some behind the scenes details about this movie. So, some essential movie details. Kirk Douglas earned this, his debut role, with the help of his old drama school friend, Lauren Bacall, who knew that producer Hal B. Wallace was looking for fresh talent. She suggested Douglas to him. She encouraged Wallace to watch a play featuring Kirk Douglas. When he did, Wallace was so impressed by his performance that he cast Douglas in this film. Another detail, this was Van Heflin's first movie after serving 3 years in the U.S. Army Corps in World War II with the 9th Air Force in Europe and the 1st Motion Picture Unit. He was on loan for MGM for this film. All right, but let me get into my thoughts on the plot. So the plot, I give it a 4 out of 5. And the reason is, although I really like the story, I would have liked to have seen Martha Ivers a lot more. I thought she was going to be the main character of the film. I had no idea what it was really going to be about. So it was strange that we didn't really see her that much. And at the very least, I would have loved like a montage with her character, Barbara Stanwyck's character, and Kirk Douglas's character, Walter. I would have liked to see them, I guess, growing up and whatnot, because most of the movie is spent with Sam and Lizabeth Scott's character, which was fine, but I just would have liked to have seen more of Barbara Stanwyck and more of her character development. If you really think about it, she's in it for 4 minutes, 5 minutes altogether. It seems like it's probably more like 10, but it felt very short in comparison to how much we see Sam. And so I was a little disappointed with that. But other than that, I think it's a very interesting story, of a guy who comes back to town after many years of being away and just the chaos that ensues. And the fact, too, Barbara Stanwyck's character, Martha, I keep forgetting her name, Martha covering up the murder of her aunt and whatnot. I would have liked to have seen more with that. But we didn't get a whole lot. It was mostly Sam's movie. So that's why I gave it a 4 out of 5. All right, let's move on to the acting. So the acting, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really love the cast overall, especially Lizabeth Scott. She's great. At first you think maybe she's going to be the femme fatale, but it's actually Barbara Stanwyck who ends up being that. I love Barbara Stanwyck, but she's very underutilized. I would have loved more of her in the film. And then I also like Kirk Douglas. This is a great first film. I think he did fine overall. So you could tell he was definitely a stage actor before. So he did very, very well. The only actor I actually didn't like was Van Heflin as Sam. I think he was just an okay actor, not a super great one. I think the other three are much, much better than he is. And which is kind of sad because he's basically the main character. We spent a lot of time with him. I would have preferred with one of the other actors here, but that's just me. But overall acting, a 4 out of 5. All right, let's move on to directing. So the directing was by Lewis Milestone and produced by Hal B. Wallace. I thought he did really good. I gave a 4 out of 5. I just wish we had more with Martha Ivers, the titular character, less time with Sam. But of all of the movies he did, I believe this is my third film because I've seen this film, Front Page, I have not seen Scarface, Ocean's 11, All Quiet on the Western Front. So he's a pretty good director and could do very tense films. So I thought he did great in that aspect. But like I said, I would have liked more time with Martha Ivers herself. All right, let's move on to cinematography and special effects. So I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It's pretty average. There's nothing spectacular here. It's just average filmmaking. There's nothing that really stands out. This is definitely, I don't know if it is technically a B picture or not, but it felt on that level. It didn't feel super high quality. Like it's pretty simple camera angles and a lot of the same sets used over and over again, which is fine because they're in a small town, right? So it gives you that small town feeling. But this is not the highlight of the film for sure. And that's why I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Let's move on to the music. So the music, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really good, really set the tone of the film. But it was still pretty generic, though, generic film noir music. But it wasn't terrible or anything like that. It really set the tone and really set the stage. I wish there was a memorable score in it. For the most part, I mean, especially at the beginning when the ant falls down the stairs, it feels more like a horror movie than it does like a thriller. So that was pretty interesting, just the music that was used there. But anyways, 4 out of 5. That's what I gave the music. All right, so the overall score, when you tally that all up, that's a 3.9 out of 5, which I'm rounding to a 4. That makes my criticalist score a 78%. And so let me break down my criticalist score overall. Is there any graphic language? No, there's nothing like that. It's very tame, very standard 1940s film. Violence, there's some fighting and shooting. Sam, he gets beat up and put into a ditch, right? His face is all bloody, but it's very, very tame. And the only other, I guess, crazy thing is there's a murder that takes place at the beginning. Kind of looks a little cheesy, though, the way she rolls down the stairs. And there's also a suicide. There's a suicide and another murder. That's about it. There's actually a lot of people who die in this movie. But it's a lot tamer than how I'm describing it. It's not grotesque or anything like that. It's very, very tame. All right. In regards to nudity / sexual content, there's some kissing. And a major plot point is infidelity. Martha Ivers is cheating on her husband Walter with Sam. She's trying to anyway. She kisses him and whatnot, and he kisses her back and all that. So there's that. And there's also a shower scene that's very, very brief, but nothing explicit, no explicit nudity or anything like that. It's very, very tame. It would probably be a G or, well, probably a PG if it came out today. All right, in regards to political bias, there isn't any other than your typical noir, kind of more anti-establishment, but that's very, very common in this era. All right, family friendly, I say yes, but probably more of a middle school age, just because like a little kid, I don't know if they would understand what's going on. It's very dialogue heavy, and I know younger kids, if you want to entertain them with a movie, it's got to be more visual. This is definitely all dialogue, not visual. All right, in regards to entertainment value, I thought it was pretty entertaining. I was really invested in the story and wanted to see what happened, for sure. I wasn't bored at all or anything like that. But I've definitely seen better with all of these actors, with the exception of Van Heflin, excuse me. This is the first film I think I've seen with him. But like Barbara Stanwyck, I think is better in films like Double Indemnity. Lizabeth Scott's better in, is that Dead Reckoning? I think it was Dead Reckoning with Humphrey Bogart. She's better there. Kirk Douglas, I think he's fantastic in like Paths of Glory. So this is definitely more of a middle of the road movie where the actors in it are great and they do a fine job, but it's definitely not their best work. This is definitely a more, like, is it middle of the road for sure. All right, so then would I recommend this movie? Yes, I would. The time we do have with Barbara Stanwyck's character is great. Again, I wanted more. It left me wanting more. And I love the scenes with her and Kirk Douglas. I thought they were pretty interesting and pretty sinister. But overall, I think it's a good little film noir. I could definitely see this being played at the Arthur Lyons Film Noir Festival. This is definitely the kind of movie that would fit there. I think I would consider this a B film. It's not, because a lot of these actors, I don't know if they were A-list at the time. Maybe Barbara Stanwyck, but the other ones for sure are B movie. With the exception of Kirk Douglas, but this is his first movie, right? So you start out B level. So anyway, that's it. Those are my thoughts overall on The Strange Love of Martha Ivers from 1946. And that concludes today's movie review.